One of the most unique ground rules in all of baseball: if it hits metal, it's gone. Here along right field at Oracle Park, there's one section of the stadium where there's a special ground rule. At this overhang, if a ball hits the metal, then it's going to be a home run. But why do they need that ground rule anyway? Why is there even a ledge here? Well, it comes from the worst mistake the Giants made when building Pac Bell Park.
Welcome to 25 years of history and trivia at Oracle Park. We've already talked about why right field in Oracle Park is so tall. It's because the right field line was so shallow, Major League Baseball needed the wall to be much taller to be fair.
Look, you can't make the second tallest wall in all of baseball and not do some weird advertising with it, right?
The Giants made the wall far more interesting with its archways, the portwalk for fans to look through, and a hand-operated scoreboard.
Of course, none of that explains why there's a metal roof here and what the point of it is over this wall.
Well, the metal comes from perhaps the most unpopular decision the Giants made when they built Pac Bell Park. And of course, it starts with what everyone loves about baseball: advertising sponsorships. With the right field wall separating the field of play from the stadium's signature feature, McCovey Cove, it was a perfect sponsorship advertising opportunity. So the Giants got a sponsorship from Old Navy, which isn't the worst sounding sponsorship for a dockside stadium. Not to mention, it was a brand owned by the San Francisco-based clothing company Gap. As part of the Old Navy splash landing, it would include 4 high-powered water cannons that would go off when the team hit a splash hit, a sign counting the total splash hits that had been hit, a charity offer by Old Navy saying "hit water, win $500" for charity, and, for some reason, a 14-foot-tall mechanical mascot named Rusty the Mechanical Man. Rusty was a 2-dimensional robot supposedly meant to evoke an old-time baseball toy with 18 moving parts and 12 programmed moves. He was supposed to run along the right field wall, waving to the crowd, tipping his cap, and doing other baseball-related moves. His track was housed inside the metal overhang along the top of the right field wall, and he had a shed in foul territory where he would hide and wait for his next chance to to perform for the fans. Well, Rusty was not well received. He was jeered in his early appearances, and not in the intentional self-deprecating way that the crazy crab got jeered. San Francisco Chronicle columnist C.W. Nevius noted that it seemed hard to believe that a working mechanical man of that size can do all of the things that are promised. Another writer at the Chronicle, Ken Garcia, a columnist who seemed to hate just about everything in San Francisco around that time, said if Rusty the Showman isn't the most boring exhibit in all of baseball, he's certainly the slowest, sliding along his mechanical track with all the velocity and grace of a Hoyt Wilhelm knuckleball. And if there was ever a good candidate for an extended stay on the disabled list, it's the Rustmeister. It turned out they both were right. Rusty was often broken down and barely seen after 2000. At first, Giants director of marketing Pat Gallagher, who had been one of the people behind the anti-mascot known as the Crazy Crab, which was designed to be booed, said the fans' actions in booing Rusty was, quote, kind of cool. The difference between the crab and Rusty, however, was that the crab wasn't sponsored for millions of dollars by a corporation that did not think it was cool. In 2009, upon his retirement, Gallagher said that Rusty was, quote, a multi-million-dollar mistake, and that Rusty had been recycled. To quote, "If you're drinking a beer right now, the can might have been part of Rusty. There's nothing of Rusty left." While the water cannons have become a beloved part of the Oracle Park experience, most of the original Old Navy splash landing flopped, not helped by the rarity of actual splash hits. Of course, those cannons are now set off for any home run, not just splash hits, but the cameras rarely needed to cut to the well-branded Old Navy splash hits counter along the right field wall. In 2006, the sponsorship of the area went from Old Navy to Levi Strauss, another company with strong San Francisco ties. The man, Levi Strauss, got started selling denim to miners in San Francisco during the gold rush. But by the time this new sponsorship rolled around, Rusty had been long gone.
Rusty's shed stuck around much longer than Rusty did. The empty shed was still here through 2007 with the All-Star Game, but was removed before the 2008 season when they made the loft luxury suite that now sits here in right field. You can still see where the tracks for Rusty end just beyond the foul pole.
So 25 years later, all that remains is the enclosure for Rusty's tracks. Whether the reason for that is to keep that distinctive metal roof, or the distinctive signage opportunity for Levi's, or something else. You can still see the tracks inside of it if you ever look up from underneath. But it remains one final reminder of one of the worst ideas of Pacific Bell Park's grand opening days. But at least in the end, Rusty was good for one thing: one of the most distinctive home run sounds in all of baseball. Next week, we'll talk about another sponsorship at the park. In particular, some cars that a certain second baseman never got along with. Hit like and hit follow, and I'll talk to you then.